Welcome to Mental Monday Mental Health Live. We're not actually live. We are live on Twitch. We're not live on YouTube yet. So I'm just going to resolve that and then we'll begin. Hi. It's 7 PM here in the UK, it's 11 AM Pacific, and this is Mental Monday, a Mental Health Awareness Week special. I'm Jake Symons. For the next half an hour, we're going to be having a conversation about mental health. Same format as usual, Mental Mondays, if you're a regular to the show. If you're new for the first time, this will be mainly focused around Mental Health Awareness Week, which is here in the UK. Some of the awareness content will be applicable for Mental Health Awareness Month, which you guys are having in America right now. So there's kind of a lot of stuff to talk about, but we are going to be live every day between now and Friday. So I do want to talk more specifically about kind of the theme for the day, which I'll get into in a minute. Today will be a general overview, kind of what I've been picking up in the mental health community and what's to come. And today, that's what we're going to be doing. Probably want to start off with just saying that there are no house rules here. Most of the chat is unscripted. Well, all of it's unscripted. I've got a few bullet points to go on. But just kind of keep things away from triggering topics, because obviously this isn't a place to get support as such. It is just to have a conversation. If you do need support, Samaritans 116123, child line if you're under 18, 0800 11 11, always there for you should you need that. And there we go. Let's get straight into it with our usual question, and that is, how are you? We always start Mental Mondays with this. Mental Health Awareness Weeks are no different, because it's always important to check in. And I think that with Mental Health Awareness Week, we've got a perfect time to check in, and I've been sharing some resources on Twitter at JakeSrights, which you can have a look at from GQ and Young Minds, about how to actually check in. And about how to keep things real and keep things normal. So I thought I'd ask that out to start with. I've been alright. It's been a fun day. I've been kind of tweeting in the morning, doing a bit of work. I've written 2 blog posts today, which is for Wednesday and Thursday, which I'll kind of get onto in a minute. But it's been really energetic today. I always love Mental Health Awareness Week. Primarily because it's a time for the mental health community to come together and create content, and you know, it gives me a chance to see what other people are doing, to check in with people that I may not necessarily otherwise would have done. It's just a really nice time as someone as a mental health kind of content creator, you could say. It's just really lovely time to get involved in. So I've been really enjoying that. So I've had a really good day, actually. So much fun stuff that, I'll go through, and I'll talk about kind of how some of that's going to influence the content coming in a minute. But how has your week been? You can reach me today in Twitch or YouTube chat, because we're currently live on both. You can also reach me via Twitter at JakeSrights or Instagram Jake_Symons. And yeah, that's where I'll be available today. If you do want to come say hi, please do. Yeah, I'll just allow a kind of couple of seconds, see if anyone is going to answer that. I do understand we are streaming on an off week, so we would not normally have a Mental Monday, because Mental Monday normally is every 2 weeks. We had one last week, so yeah, if you're a regular, we've not gone back to weekly. This is just for the next 5 days. So anyway, coming up, probably good to start there. So tomorrow I'll be talking, and I want to talk a lot about nature, because that is the theme of this year. And yeah, some people are unhappy with the theme, and I totally get that, and that's why I've changed the blog on Thursday. So tomorrow is going to be about nature, and you know how nature's helped me. It's obviously something I've spoken a lot about before. I've done a fundraiser for the Samaritans in 2019 regarding that, and I've done a few other videos and comments on Mental Mondays, something for the Audience Survey campaign as well. So I've done quite a few nature related things. Also, there is a lot of kind of just personal content. My Twitter header is a nice picture of a field. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of nature, and you probably can pick up some of that if you scroll through my social media. So there's that, and then tomorrow, Wednesday rather, will be the research from the Mental Health Foundation. The Mental Health Foundation have produced the usual 55-page PDF, which I've gone through and converted into a 1,500-word blog post, which I always do every year, with like the key statistics, what they mean, and how like what's the point of all of it, really. So there's that coming out on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, I've slightly changed the theme. It was going to be about how nature helps you, and I wanted to kind of hand it over to your comments, but I'm actually going to move those into the roundup post on Friday. Instead, and this is part of some of the feedback I was getting today, I want to talk about action. And this is something I did in 2019. I don't think I did it in 2020, but I really want to do it this year because it's something that I've been picking up a lot, and about how there needs to be action. You know, awareness weeks mean nothing if you have awareness, but that awareness doesn't lead to anything, and it's just awareness. That is absolutely pointless, and there has to be some kind of purpose to these weeks. So I'll be talking about that, and on Friday there is a big roundup post and a big kind of sharing of all the content that's being created for the week, and that is always a good post because it means that, you know, some mental health bloggers that may be you know, smaller mental health bloggers, or kind of, you know, they've just started writing something out of the blue, they blog, say, on a different subject, and they just want to share some personal stories. I love hearing from people and, you know, seeing other people's experiences. It's just something I like reading. So always a big roundup post. If you do have a blog or know someone that is producing a blog, a news article, or a video, not like a social media video, but a kind of a full kind of, say, YouTube or Twitch stream or something like that, let me know, because I really want that included. Chat's fine, or DMs on Twitter or Instagram, probably better. There's also a roundup form on my website, which should be linked around the place somewhere, which you can also use to actually get those to me, because I do want to include as many as possible. I'm looking at my current list of blogs I will be included in that. I have about 20 so far. So if you do have any more, kind of anything you think that I should share, anything that's relevant that has been written specifically for this year, this 2021 Mental Health Awareness Week, let me know. So there we go. Let's talk, because there's a lot to talk about, and I want to start off with saying mainly about awareness and what awareness is, and what it isn't, and what it's often considered to be. And awareness is not talking, not just talking, I should say, which is, you know, slightly ironic considering, you know, it's always talk about your mental health and, you know, tell someone, and yeah, but actually, that is not awareness for me. So on an individual level, that awareness is the space, and I spoke about this a lot last week, about how it's not talking about mental health all the time, but creating the space to. So actually being there for someone else, having good mental health conversations, and actually being there for someone. And I'll talk some more about that in a minute, but that is talking, awareness rather. It is space to talk, not always talking about it, because I think, especially the past year and the pandemic, I think we're all aware we have a mental health. We're all aware of our mental well-being. We're all aware that the situation across the country isn't great at the moment, which isn't surprising considering, you know, lockdown, etc. It does have an impact, and it's a real impact on people's lives, clearly. And, you know, that is something that it is. There's no, like, getting away from that. But actually, mental health awareness has to be, you know, more than just a superficial be aware of your mental health. It has to mean something. So a lot of the comments I've got, and that's why I've going to be writing the How to Take Action blog, which I've kind of partially done already, is going to be about how to actually, you know, create change. Because what ultimately, us in the mental health community and with direct experience of these services, I can tell you, is that we are screaming for funding and proper professional support. Because, you know, it's all right telling people to reach out to their mates, and, you know, a friend support network is something I've talked about a lot, and it is the main support network I cover. The reason for that is because this is a mental health channel for those in the mental health community, and people in my age group that may not are not mental health professionals. It's just it's just a nice relaxing half an hour stream. It's a personal blog from someone, myself, who's not a mental health professional. So it's written for people I speak to and people who speak to me. And that is those one-to-one individual interactions that we all have with those around us. It's, people who you meet, people who you may have fallen out of touch with. That's who we're encouraging you to reach out for and check in with. And because of that, you're not meant to fix them. We can be so eager, and I am myself still, despite being in the mental health community, I do this quite a lot, we're too eager to fix people. And we can't do that. We're not professionals, that there are people that do that. We are not professionals, we're not meant to fix people. We're not meant to solve the issues. What we're meant to do is listen and still be a mate, because the person that's told you they're, suffering from low mental health is the same person before they spoke to you, if that makes sense. They're still the same person that they were before. Because of that, it's, important just to treat them normally and, just be there for them, and you can still talk about normal things with them, and actually allowing mental health to be part of the conversation when it needs to be, but not allowing it to dominate the friendship and not allowing it to be like a constant, "Oh, you're right," every 5 minutes. It's important to maintain that kind of normal conversation, and sometimes that's what we long for. Especially myself, is just to be treated normally and to not have those conversations and that, "Oh, you're right," every 5 minutes. Sometimes people need that. Sometimes people do, if they are having a bad day, do need that kind of extra comfort, especially if it's someone you care about. And, if you can provide that, then great. But obviously your own mental health has to be prioritised too, and you've got to remember that, you've got to put yourself first at some point, because you have your own mental health, which can also be low just as much as someone else's. So it's important to just kind of be aware of that. But also, in terms of how you actually talk to people, it's just normal. Just be normal. Mental health is a big thing in someone's life, but it doesn't have to be a big thing in friendship. And that's something that I really want to kind of message, because especially from the people that I speak to, it's just an extra level of comfort that's needed. And that's all you have to provide, and you're not expected to know what to say or to know how to fix things, and that is the professional's job. So that's why for Mental Health Awareness Week, it's important that that's there. If we're encouraging people to reach out and seek support, it's important that help is there, and help is still available. In terms of, the pandemic, NHS services, 999 in emergencies, it's still functioning, but as we all know, it's severely underfunded, and it is not in the best place as it could be to help the people that need it most. And you can just turn to Twitter today, for example, to see lots of people rightly angry, and, I joined this club that we are telling people to reach out, seek support, kind of help themselves, but we're not providing that as a country to a level where that's possible, and that is an issue, and that has to be addressed. Part of that's funding, part of that's kind of structure and organisation. I remember being on a waiting list. I've spoken about this before. I was on a waiting list for quite some time with CAMS, which obviously is the kind of children's mental health services on the NHS. And I got a phone call out of the blue months, possibly even a year later, ringing me up and saying, "Hey, do you actually want to go for that appointment?" And like I just said no, because I've waited this long, I've got through it, I've been able to kind of use other resources around me, because as I often say, I appreciate, my kind of mental health was rather mild, and therefore I was able to use kind of more lighter resources. But that's not everyone. Like, not everyone can just be strong and just, you know, kind of man up and get on with it. That's not how it works. People need professional help. People need, you know, medication. They need therapy. They need proper support, like actual support. Talking about it to a mate or a charity doesn't cut it for some people. Some people need more than that. And it's so important to recognise that. And it can be very easy to kind of look at me as an example and say, well, actually, that's not necessary. But it is. It really is. And, like, there are people out there who kind of do pass off the fact that you can just, you know, that this wasn't a problem when, you know, mental health was more kind of stigmatised, and this is just kind of a snowflake thing. And, you know, it is a real issue that, you know, people need real medical support for. And that has to be acknowledged, and there's no getting away from that. That is the situation, and that is something that, you know, has to be brought up, and it has to be resolved, because, you know, if we're heading into a mental health crisis or pandemic, and we're kind of in one now, to be honest, we there has to be support there. You can't just have people without support. So that is something, a way of taking action, and a way of actually kind of moving forward, is to support charities, is to support kind of people. And I'll be sharing links to a load of these resources on Thursday, who are trying to call on government to actually fund things properly and to actually bring about some kind of mental health change. And yeah, that is kind of the rant over, but that had to be said, because there are people that go into this week thinking that a mental health tweet on Twitter is enough. And it isn't. There has to be more change than just kind of a superficial, let's talk 7 days, Mental Health Awareness Week, 10th to 16th of May. Let's absolutely talk for this week, and then let's, you know, leave people for a year and come back to it next year with a different theme and talk about some other stuff. And that that's not how it works. You know, the mental health community really want to use this week, myself included, to cry out and say, look, we are, as a community, you know, we need support. And that's kind of what I wanted to use the majority of today to talk about, because with this platform, kind of YouTube, Twitch, etc., you know, these are issues that you can help with, and you can, you know, sign petitions, you can get involved in the charities, you can write your MP, but ultimately the change has to come from government. And at the moment, you know, there's talk, there's always talk, there's always talk, but little action. And that is something that there has to be more. And that is something that really does matter to me and so many others. And I look forward to kind of, I'll be retweeting some of that on Twitter. So at Jake Symons is the best place to follow me for mental health content, because that's where most of this is going to come from. So that is kind of my view on awareness and why there needs to be more than that. And now I kind of wanted to round off with sharing kind of some mental health conversation tips. I know I spoke about this a bit earlier, but I thought it'd be good to actually kind of just talk about, you know, my own experience of mental health conversations, because I do get into a lot of them as, you know, a mental health advocate, as someone available to, you know, have a little vent to if you need that. And that option does remain open. If you can reach me via DMs, obviously it stays between us, and there's a reason it doesn't. So, yeah, just putting that out there. In terms of my experience with mental health conversations, a lot of it is just listening. It's just caring. And that really does work. Like, most of the time, I know I am, you know, I write about mental health, and I kind of have, I kind of, because of that, have read like a lot of the blogs and a lot of the kind of guidance, Young Minds, mental health, Samaritans on, you know, what to say, what not to say during a mental health conversation, all that kind of stuff. But kind of from personal experience, it is just listen. And, you know, you're probably going to say the wrong thing. Sometimes you won't be able to say the right thing because someone is just in a situation where they just need to let off some steam. And that's okay. You know, all what you've just got to do in a mental health conversation is just be there. You know, if I'm having a mental health conversation with someone I care about, for example, you know, I don't go in knowing what to say at all. I just listen and just respond as, you know, someone I care about's telling me this. How should I respond? This is, you know, what I feel. This is what I think. This is what I say. And it's the same with any of your mates, you know. Oh, my friends told me this. You know, what do I say as a mate in this situation? What, you know, and just kind of making it that down to earth. There's no kind of reason to worry or kind of get uptight or pre-plan these conversations. And I spoke a lot on my blog about this, about how this isn't a time to have, you know, notebooks out and pens poised, because that's not your role. You know, as a friend, it's your role to be there as a mate. And I say that because as well as not trying to fix it, you've also got to like look after yourself too. You know, if you're just mates with someone and you've got a mental health, you know, it does take a lot to absorb other kind of people's what they're going through. I would say I have quite a high tolerance to being told stuff, in that I can absorb a lot of stuff, but that's probably just because I'm that type of person. But not everyone is, and you know, you can't just make yourself that if that's not kind of who you are. You know, you've got a tolerance level. If you feel like things are getting too much, or if you feel like, you know, people are talking too much, you know, you can just say, actually, you know, you matter to me, but I need to take a step back here to prioritise myself, and that's absolutely fine to do. Sorry about that, I was just looking through some of the comments, and that's absolutely fine. You know, you're allowed to prioritise yourself, you're allowed to take that step back should you need to do so. And I think that that's the biggest thing for me, is actually just keeping it between mates, because that's what it is, and just going into the conversation like that. And you know, it does take a lot to open up to someone, and so often, you know, your reaction can determine the outcome, and that's still to like put the pressure on, but it's just to, you know, think about how you're reacting. If you're quick to judge, the BBC have a good tool on their website about kind of this as well, about, you know, being quick to judge or being quick to kind of assume you know, someone can just get over it, because the majority of things that you say people already know. You know, if you just say, well, have you tried walking it off, or, you know, getting some fresh air or something like that. I mean, you can say that. I'm not saying don't say that. I'm just saying that you know, we're not looking for you to have answers. If I'm having a conversation about my mental health with someone, I'm not looking for them to tell me what to do, because, you know, I know what to do. I'm sure we've all been given those PDFs and kind of little booklets that are all about things to do and not to do in various mental health conditions and that kind of stuff. And actually, not really always helpful if, you know, you're just kind of reading from those. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to be there and just to say, look, I'm listening, just let it out, you know, I'm here. Is there anything I can do? You know, that kind of stuff. And that's sometimes the best, rather than trying to, you know, go on nhs.uk and read out a whole bunch of, like, you know, suggestions. I mean, you can signpost people to resources, charities, people that can help, things that may be useful. I mean, you can do that. That is, you know, a way of encouraging people to get the support, which goes back to my previous point about, you know, why the support needs to be there to begin with. And that actually matters as well. So for me, mental health conversations are just keep it normal. Just keep it, just be normal with it, please. I think that's, you know, that's what we long for, is just a normal conversation. And I wanted to finish on that, really, because that's kind of the message for today, is as you go through this week, try and reach out to someone, or reach out yourself if you're struggling right now. You know, there are people that will listen to you. And I think that's really important, because that is so true. And, you know, especially if you feel alone and like no one is listening, there are people out there that will. And, you know, obviously I've referenced the Samaritans and other kind of charities, but, you know, if there's someone you trust, your partner, a family member, for example, that you can actually talk to in the first instance, and kind of take that first step of talking about your mental health, would then hopefully lead people on to get actual support. And, you know, talking doesn't fix mental health. And, you know, Mental Monday, being a prime example of that, is at most going to provide 30 minutes distraction out of your day. It is not going to solve anything, and it's not meant to, because this isn't what help looks like. You know, if you're just going through a rough spot, you know, maybe talking will cheer you up and will help you out. But, you know, if you're living with mental illness, you know, you need more than a mate talking to you to actually help you recover and take you on those steps to recovery and to a place where you're able to manage what you're going through and live the life you want, ultimately. Because, you know, then we get into the whole recovery isn't a destination but the journey, and everything else I spoke about like that, about how, you know, you're probably always going to, well, certainly in my case, always going to, you know, live with low mental health. It's just you're able to deal with it and you're able to not let it get in the way of what you want to do, which is the position I'm in. So I'm very thankful for that. But it's important just to be there and just, you know, realise that there does need to be a level of kind of professional intervention. There does need to be an actual support. Talking isn't enough, and what I don't want to happen in Mental Health Awareness Week is for us to get so fixated on talking and so fixated on the conversations, which we have a right to be, because, you know, these conversations we're having at the individual level. So what can you do tonight at 7:30 to help someone with mental health? It probably is just checking in, it's sending that text, you know, FaceTime and saying hello. That is what we can do on an individual level. But from our perspective in the mental health community, there has to be so much more. There has to be real support there and real help there. And at the moment, there's not. And that is the issue. And that's why you see a lot of people in the mental health community maybe not as enthusiastic for Mental Health Awareness Week as I try to be. Because obviously my aim for this week and the content I produce is aimed at people who are not in the mental health community. By that mean they don't have much experience with mental health, and they're just kind of, you know, bobbing along, and actually encouraging them to maybe recognise when people aren't okay and to reach out to them. So that's kind of where I aim for content, but there's plenty of other people, and I'm going to be showcasing this on Friday, that are making content to say, look, in the mental health community, things aren't okay and we need support, and there's people like calling for that, and there's resources of how to take action. So from my perspective, this week and the content this week is going to be all about helping those that, you know, may not know anyone with low mental health or may not kind of know how to have that conversation, to encourage them to reach out to people, encourage them to be normal with conversations, and just to kind of talk about nature. And, you know, if you haven't tried being out in nature, and just kind of using the theme a bit more for guidance there. But there is a variety of content and a variety of kind of perspectives, and, you know, just what you see here, what you see on Mental Monday isn't from that perspective, but just being aware that, you know, this isn't the necessary right perspective. You know, it's not the only perspective, should I say. There are, you know, other voices and other issues, and hopefully I've addressed some of those today as well. So, that is the end of Mental Monday, the big friendly conversation about mental health with me, Jake Symons. This was a Mental Health Awareness Week special. I will see you tomorrow, where I'll be talking about nature quite a lot, because that is the theme of tomorrow, mostly based on the blog post, which is my experience with nature. And we'll also be talking about anything else that comes up in the comments. As always, Twitter at JakeSWrites, Instagram Jake_Symons. You can reach me either of those places. Please DM me. I want to include as many blog posts, if not all of them, which I probably realistically won't do, that have been written for Mental Health Awareness Week 2021. Please, if you know someone that's written one, if there's something you've read that's moved you, please send it to me so I can include it. I really, really want to include as many as possible this year, and that is always appreciated. I do read them all. I do include them all. I'll write a short summary about what when I read it, why I included it in the roundup post. Please, I need those. Thank you. That is all then from me. I'll see you again in just under 24 hours for another Mental Monday. We are live all week because we do this every year. And yeah, thank you so much for coming. I've really enjoyed today. I feel like I got a lot out, especially in regards to kind of some of the concerns and, you know, some of the frustrations of the mental health community when it comes to these weeks as well. But obviously a lot of positive content coming as well, and a lot of just kind of stuff you can actually relate to and hopefully can get involved in. Alright then, bye for now.